bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Opening half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory. I went with Ford. Great pre-owned inventory with the all-important Sunbury Motors guarantee, because you go over every vehicle with a fine-tooth comb. And the service department, which does a great job, whether it's quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult. They handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online, sunburymotors.com. And great to have with us the play-by-play voice of SMU football, Rich Phillips. Can't wait to see you Saturday at Beaver Stadium. It's great to have you on the show. Welcome.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So, I know you and I exchanged some lineups earlier in the week. So, let's get into your team. When the move was made from Preston Stone to Kevin Jennings, what did it do to the SMU offense as to what they could do that maybe they couldn't do before?
One thing it really did, and it was really evident in the game where the change kind of happened. I mean, both guys played each of the first three games, but in Game 3 against BYU, the pass rush was just relentless when Preston Stone was in. And because of the mobility and the speed of Kevin Jennings, they backed off with that pass rush. And we've seen more of that since then. And then, frankly, Kevin's just grown into the offense so much. He's a little over a year removed from his first start. He had to take over in the American Athletic Conference Championship game last year when Preston got hurt. And from that time to now, his trust in his offense, his trust in his teammates, and his trust in himself has grown immensely. He doesn't just look to take off and run anytime the pocket breaks down. He'll move around. He can throw on the run. He can set and throw. His arm talent is just, to me, off the charts for a guy who's only 6 foot tall. I'm really impressed with how well he could throw the football.
Right, and you're talking also 66%. There's been some accuracy to go with that, right?
Yeah, definitely so. And again, it comes from, his arm talent. I mean, the angles that he can throw from, that helps make up a little bit, I think, sometimes for his lack of height. There's times where, he'll have a big pass rusher coming right in his face, and he'll drop down the sidearm and throws a bullet. And it's really impressive with how strong his arm is, and that leads a lot, I think, to the accuracy that he has, too.
Brashard Smith was a wide receiver at Miami. What did Rhett Lashley see in him that said, you know what, he could be a, quote, running back for us?
Well, he knew he wanted him here because, of course, Rhett was his offensive coordinator for, I believe, 1 year while he was at Miami, one of the 2 years that Rhett was there. And he knew he wanted him here, but he didn't have a place for him at wide receiver. He knew he would be a dangerous kickoff returner, and he felt he could be a running back here just because of his speed. He only had 18 carries in his 3 years that he played at Miami. And, he became, as an all-purpose player, an All-American this year here at SMU. He has really grabbed the bull by the horns himself, Brashard has, because he's not just a guy that needs to bounce it outside and use his speed. He's not afraid to run up the middle between the tackles. He's really improved from game one to now with his blitz pickup and his protection to the quarterback, too. And frankly, I think he may have turned himself into an NFL player with this one dynamic season he's had here.
He's been outstanding, over 1,100 yards rushing. And how valuable is he to Kevin Jennings, just swinging out of the backfield and just being there?
Very much so. And they'll even run him downfield, too, because that is the other side of it is when they send him downfield, he makes moves and catches balls like a wide receiver does. Yep. He's not just a back out of the backfield. He knows what to do when he gets downfield. And as a running back, he often ends up in mismatches, too, with linebackers trying to defend him downfield. So, yeah, he's been a real dangerous weapon all the way around.
Daniels, he made a phenomenal catch in the ACC championship game to set up a touchdown. When you look at him in the running game, wide receiver, and as a returner, what does he mean to this team?
A A little bit of everything, and it's a shame that we're just about done with him here. He's played all 4 years here. He didn't get a COVID year, doesn't get a redshirt year, and we keep looking for another year because he is absolutely playing his best in the last month and a half. And you mentioned in the running game early in the season, because of injuries, he ended up, as a matter of fact, in the Florida State game, he was the number 2 running back for that game. Mm-hmm. And at one point, the number 1, because Brashard Smith went to the locker room with a minor injury at one point. He's gone back to wide receiver now pretty much full-time, partly because of numbers there with some injuries. But he is a playmaker. He's got big playability. As a punt returner, he's nerve-wracking. Let's put it that way. I mean, he had a touchdown earlier this year. He had a touchdown last year, too. But he'll muff one on you here or there. So he can be a little bit nerve-wracking back there. But obviously a huge weapon for them all the way around.
How about the word adventurous? You like that?
Yes, there you go.
Adventurous would be good. I like that. Everybody gets hit with injuries. I can give you the list. In fact, I gave you the list of guys that were not on the depth chart for Penn State that have the long-term injury deal. SMU's been hit with it as well, a tight end wide receiver. What kind of impact has that had down the stretch?
Well, not as much as would have in years past before this was a Power 4 program because they have the depth. I mean, at the start of the season, running back has been hit with injuries too. At the start of the season, we were wondering how 4 guys were going to get carries. Well, one was injured on the second day of fall camp, and one was injured in week 2 of the season of those 4 guys. And so now you're down to Brashard Smith and his primary backup, L.J. Johnson. Wide receiver, they've been down to 4 for the most part for a month. Now they've added one in since, Romello Brinson, a guy who was hurt early in the season, and they opted to hold him out so that he actually's got a red shirt and come back next year. But he can play here in the postseason, and he had a great game last week against Clemson. R.J. Maryland, huge loss to tight end. He's not quite as good as your guy, but he's pretty good. The thing that's been great is that Matt Hibner, who you guys may have seen when he was in Michigan the last several years, he caught 2 balls in all of his time at Michigan, and he's turned into a really reliable receiver here and has a chance to come back next year, too, with a COVID year at his disposal. So they've been able to make up for those losses because of the depth that they have recruited here, which is something that for this program is an all-new thing to do.
Well, in fact, he played here last year for Michigan. And see, that's when I look at the transfer portal, it's guys like him that I look at, and it makes sense because he's behind Cortland Loveland. Right? With all due respect to him, because they've kind of established what the pecking order is, he's not going to pass him out. Now he goes to SMU, he's got a great opportunity. To me, that's what the portal's about.
Yeah, and at the start of this year, he was behind R.J. Maryland, and they weren't throwing him the ball much. And as soon as R.J. blew his knee out in the Stanford game, he became the number 1 guy. And he even showed a speed we didn't know he had. He had an 80-yard touchdown catch against Pitt last month. So he's made the most of his opportunity here in the last half of the season.
Defensively, those Booker I've seen before because he played at Maryland against Penn State. The 2 defensive ends to me are very impressive. What have they done to really disrupt offenses to this point?
So Elijah Roberts was a guy who had 10 sacks last season, has not put up the same numbers sack-wise this year, but he has such a great effect on the game. He's played way differently this year than he was last year, and it's limited his sack numbers, but Pro Football Focus has had him among the top 3, top 5 in quarterback pressures all season long. So he's very disruptive that way. And then Jafari Harvey off the other edge, a Miami transfer. By the way, Elijah was a Miami transfer last year, and Harvey a Miami transfer this year. And you've probably seen we got a lot of those on this SMU roster. Yeah. Jafari, though, has tremendous speed coming off the edge. He's got an interesting trick, too, if you saw the way the Duke game ended. SMU had to block a field goal at the end of regulation to have any chance, and he did a one-step hop over the line and then another hop to block the field goal that would have won the game for Duke. Gave SMU the chance to win it in overtime, but really athletic and really fast off the edge is what Harvey brings with it.
I also noticed in watching, some video, there'll be times where Roberts and Harvey, in pass situations, occasionally line up on the same side together. How effective is that package been?
Very much so, because Elijah will move in and play defensive tackle because he's got enough size to play inside, and it allows them to get either Cameron Robertson or Isaiah Smith as the other edge rusher opposite of Jafari Harvey. And Smith is a guy who's been a career backup here, and he has 14 sacks in his 3 seasons here, and he may be the fastest guy on the defensive line. So that's really one of the advantages, is it gives you another pass rush threat on the inside, but bringing another one of their really good edge rushers on top of it.
Kobe Wilson, side to side, I'm impressed watching him play at that linebacking spot. What has he meant to that defense?
Oh, he's meant so much. This is his second year after transferring in from Temple, and he's a guy who came in with a chip on his shoulder because he was pretty lightly recruited coming out of high school, coming out of Georgia, and felt he should have been considered for by power conference schools, and he wasn't. And he's played like it for 2 years, and he is absolutely the vocal leader and the emotional leader of that defense. It's funny because Ahmad Walker, who plays alongside him at linebacker, they're roommates, they're best friends, and they're complete polar opposites personality. Ahmad never says anything, and Kobe doesn't stop talking, and we enjoy it. He's fun, but he is a real dynamic guy, and he had a pick 6 this year against Florida State that was the most determined 82-yard run the team has had this season, as he ran through and literally over guys. He's been a huge part of this defense here.
Plays a lot of zone in the secondary. Your thoughts on how the secondary's played to this point?
Definitely they're better than we thought they were going to be. Cornerback was the biggest question coming into this season for SMU. Brandon Crossley, a guy that moved from safety out to corner this year, has really, really grown into that role. They kind of rotated the other side between 2 guys with Deuce Harmon and Jalen Davis-Robinson. Now, the safety spot, they got 3 of them. They'll play 3 spots they play. They've got 4 guys they'll rotate amongst those spots, and that's really the strength of this defense right behind those linebackers. Isaiah Wakobe, at number 23, really the leader of that group. He was all-conference in the ACC this year and has been kind of the physical force of the defense on the back end.
And Colin Rogers, I mean, look, I've done this a long time. I don't think I've ever seen a kicker 15 of 21 beyond 40 yards. What has his scoring range meant to SMU's ability to score?
One of the biggest things is end of half. If they get the ball back at late first half with a minute to go, you always just all right, get to the 40, maybe the 38, and you're in field goal range. And that's kind of the goal at that point, because it's a luxury that Rhett Lashley admits that he has and he likes to take advantage of. He's 7 of 11, I believe, this year from 50-plus.
Yes.
That's one off the NCAA record for 50-yard field goals in a season. It's been tremendous to have a kicker who's that reliable. He's the all-time leading scorer in SMU history. 3 guys were tied for that record. One of them you may have heard of, Eric Dickerson, who was tied for that record previously. And he broke that 1st of October this season, and he's going to be here for another year, too.
So, Rich, I have to ask you about the transition to the ACC. I know that the SMU is not taking television money because in part they can afford to do it. I also understand within 48 hours of the ACC announcement, the amount of money raised was phenomenal. What did it mean to go from a group of 5, an American champion, which they were a year ago, to being in a Power 4 like this? What did it mean to the SMU community?
Well, you hit on it, although it was not quite 2 days. We took a week after the announcement was made last year to raise $100 million.
Okay.
$100 million in 1 week. That's all.
Yeah.
Because while not taking the TV money, they are still getting the other revenue sources from the conference, which already puts them ahead of where they were in the American. But they want to compete on the same financial level, so they had to get the donor support, and they saw it immediately. We have a small stadium here at SMU, certainly compared to Beaver Stadium, but the crowds weren't anywhere near filling the place up for many, many years. And they sold out 3 games, and every game had the best attendance. They had the highest percentage increase in the country in attendance this year among all the power schools. It has meant so much to a fan base that's been starved for this kind of thing ever since the death penalty hit the program in 1987.
Yeah, I know. I remember going back to that, and I talked about it the other day. The one common denominator player-wise is Matt McCartan, who played at SMU, death penalty happened. He ended up starting as a tackle here at Penn State. He was out of Dallas Highlands, I think, high school. And he's the one common denominator. But when they gave SMU the death penalty, they really gave them a long-term sentence. It took forever for them to get out of it. It must have been just a tough road to get there. And Rhett's done an obviously phenomenal job with this.
Yeah, and some of it started before him, too. But, yeah, it was a tough road after the death penalty, and some of it was self-inflicted because the school wanted to make sure things like that didn't happen again. And they locked down so many things with academic requirements and things like that that made it tough to compete on the right level football-wise. You know, I think they started to turn the corner a little bit as far back as 2009 when June Jones was here in his second year, got him to a bowl game for the first time in 25 years. Sonny Dykes came in 18, and he's the one who brought Rhett Lashley here as his offensive coordinator in 2018. And in 2019 got the school back into the top 25 for the first time since the mid-'80s. And they've kind of got it going there. I mean, they've had double-digit wins now in 3 of the last 6 seasons, 2 in a row here with Rhett Lashley leading them. But it's been a long slog to get here, I know that.
What's the excitement level around this game in the Dallas area?
Oh, huge. Our professional football team's not doing so well around here. So the college team has stepped in at the right time, and frankly, the other side of the Metroplex, TCU, hasn't been at the same level the last 2 years after they went to the national championship game with a bit of surprise, kind of like SMU's here in the CFP this year. But, it's as big as I have seen for this program since the Pony Express days, for sure.
It's going to be a great game coming up on Saturday. Rich, I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Thanks so much for all the time you gave me before and all the time today. I really appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. Now, you're going to hold the snow off for us, right?
I don't think it's going to snow on Saturday. I don't think so. I think I think that...
Just 26, huh?
Well, I didn't say life was perfect. So
we can deal with 26, just no snow. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much in the precipitation part. 26, yeah, probably. So, yeah, just warm.
It was 38 last week at the ACC championship, so I think they can deal with that.
There you go. Rich, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
Rich Phillips, the play-by-play voice of SMU football and basketball. They are here Saturday at noon. We'll be on the air with our broadcast beginning at 10:30 from Beaver Stadium. It'll be the last game that we ever broadcast in the current booth at Beaver Stadium because when it's all said and done, they're tearing the baby down. So, yeah, that'll be Saturday in Beaver Stadium. Again, noon the kickoff, 10:30 will be the airtime. And I didn't tell Rich that I think it might be snowing Friday night, but not snowing during the game. All right. This half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors. 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. As we continue here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour being brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, lots and lots of snacks. Stock up for the holidays, stock up for the weekend. Get Brewers Outlet gift cards. Let's face it, we're all getting down to the nitty-gritty here on gifts, and that is a great bailout. They love it. They also now have ready-to-drink cocktails like High Noon, Crown Royal, and Jack Daniels. 6 great flavors of slushies, pickle bar led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. All right, so we did get a note from Lonnie about me talking about 100,000 at Beaver Stadium. Well, we'll start with this. I have no idea how many people are showing up at Beaver Stadium. The only thing I'm basing what I'm saying is off of the fact that Pat Kraft said in an interview, which he did, there were fewer than 6,000 tickets remaining. Well, I can do the math. That's 100,000 tickets sold. Okay? And that statement was made, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago. So, and Lonnie said there's going to be no more than 85,000 there. Lonnie, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Right? 85,000, 105,000. Okay? And here's the reason why it doesn't matter. SMU hasn't played in front of a crowd that large all year. Not even close. Even if 85,000 are there, that's 35,000 more than the largest crowd they've played in front of. Okay? If there are 85,000 people there, that's 50,000 more than the second biggest crowd they've played in front of. So does it matter? I see your point, but, I mean, I'm only going off what Pat said in an interview because I have no idea. I have not asked anybody how many tickets have been sold. I have been concentrating on other things that are actually pretty important, at least for what I need to do. So I have not taken the time to find out about how many tickets have been sold. I just went by interviews that he's given and using the numbers he gave. But in the end, is there a difference between 100 and 85? Yeah, there's a slight difference, but not when you're talking about a program that has played in front of 50,000 in one game and 36,000 is their next biggest game. Okay, that's still a big deal.
I think people are also mistakenly thinking that, like, when they talk about the get-in price and stuff like that being so low, that's demand on the on like StubHub, not actual ticket sales. It's demand on aftermarket sales.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's what that's what they were talking about while I was eating lunch today on the Pat McAfee show when I was flipping around. And I think people take that to mean that, like, nobody wants to go. It's just that there's no demand on the resale market, which means which I take it to mean that, you know, people aren't reselling their tickets.
Right. So, I mean, we'll see. Look, it's going to be a huge crowd on Saturday. Okay, let's just do the basics. The crowd's going to be big. It's going to be the biggest crowd they've played in front of all season. Okay. After that, let's see what kind of influence they have in the game. Look, they're a good team. I mean, SMU's a good team. Quarterback that can move, kind of plays a little bit like Lamar Jackson. Good running back, wide out. Yeah, they're good. Good place kicker. So there's a lot of things that, I mean, they're here for a reason. They're good. Penn State's here for a reason. They're good. Now you got to go play. Time to go play.
I think you hit the nail on the head yesterday. I think the biggest factor is how much wind there's going to be.
Yeah, the wind is the issue. I mean, that part I can't even begin to gauge. I mean, some forecasts have been, the wind will be okay. It'll be windy, like 10 to 15 miles an hour. But the one that's been above all has actually been AccuWeather. AccuWeather, let's see, has been saying, it's also saying it's going to rain for the next 4 hours. They're saying on Saturday, high 29, that hasn't changed. And they're talking about average wind 15 miles an hour, wind gust to 30. Okay. Snow possibility, 65%. Okay. I mean, that's the way it is. Now, I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, AccuWeather, we have AccuWeather, right? That's what we carry?
I believe.
Yeah. I mean, last time I checked, they're really good at what they do. mean, forecasting for here is a little different than forecasting for San Diego. I mean, being a San Diego weather forecaster, you're stealing money. Kind of walk in that day and go, okay, let's see. Monday will be 72. What do you think? Tuesday will make it 74. Yeah. Wednesday, how about 73? Yeah. Any rain? No. Here, a little trickier. Little trickier.
I would put it this way: AccuWeather doesn't stay open long if they're wrong a lot.
Right, exactly. You know, and forecasting for here is usually tricky. Okay, that's fine. Like I said, it's not San Diego where it's like, all right, there we go.
I was going to say, I can't tell you how many men's basketball games I've been to where it's been snowing out there, and by the time you get over the mountain into Mifflinburg, there's nothing this way.
Yep. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. But in terms of the size of the crowd, I'm going by what Pat said in an interview. He said, I think he said fewer than 6,000. Well, the place seats officially 100,672, something like that. Well, if there are fewer than 6,000, that means it's slightly over 100,000. That's why I've been using that as a round number, just based on the interview. I haven't checked. I saw the ticket office people today, but I was doing quarterback club today, so I didn't really have time to. I thanked them for how they handled my tickets. I want to make sure, hey guys, thanks so much. Because I have 4 tickets now. Obviously, I'm not going to use them. They'll be used by family members. I mean, 2 son-in-laws and a son going to the game. And I thank them for the help that they gave me, to make sure I had everything correct. But that was the extent of the conversation. I didn't ask them how many tickets were sold. And when you sit there and just think about the logistics of it, does it make a difference if it's Ohio State and there's 85,000 people versus 105? Yeah, I think it makes a little bit of a difference. Yeah. Michigan, same thing. It makes a difference. But when a program is not used to playing in front of huge crowds, 85,000 is still a huge crowd. So I don't think, to be honest with you, while I understand the point, I hope I explain why I've been saying 100, because I've been using Pat's math. But the bottom line is, in the end, it's going to be the largest crowd they've played in front of in years. I mean, years.
Steve, we got Doug from Wellsboro on the line.
Hey, Doug, how are you today? Happy holidays.
Same to you, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Golfing today?
Sliced one in the first hole, gave up. Although my golfing partner is going to be showing up here on Thursday night, West Durham. We're going to have a little coffee on Friday. But, Durham and I played a couple times this year.
Okay. How do you handle Kevin Jennings? That guy is very shifty. He can run around. He's going to extend plays. What do you do to handle him?
Well, this is where you have to have consistency up front with Abdul Carter and Denai Dennis Sutton. The ability to pinch him to the middle, if it's possible. Don't let him break contain. Pinch him more toward the middle. Direct him up the middle to where Kobe King, Zane Durant, and Devon Thomas and or Keziah Izzard happen to be. Make him hurry before he want to make a throw. The offensive tackles for Oregon, Cornelius and Connerly, are very good. They are second-team All-Americans. The offensive line for SMU is good, but they are not in the category of Oregon, especially at the tackle spot. So Penn State, I think, has an opening to get pressure from the outside. The key is to make sure he doesn't break contain, and then it becomes adventurous.
Do you expect any players back playing special teams that we haven't seen, like any of these long-term extended injury guys, Or are we just going to go with what we had play basically at playing against Oregon?
I think it's going to be the same group that played against Oregon. I don't think Keon Wiley or Zariah Fisher are quite ready yet. Although Keon's been out there practicing, so he's been getting some work in. But again, you're coming off rehab, so you're so far behind. So I don't think those guys will be coming back to help out. Was there anybody you had specifically in mind?
No, I was just wondering, like Keon Wiley and those guys. I mean, I know they wouldn't be meaningful downs, during offense or defense, but they'd be like special teams guys, something like that.
Some of the younger players might get in on special teams. Like, say, I mean, I'm just like throwing darts here, okay? So I'm not giving you anything specific, but for example, like a John Mitchell, a Kenny Wosley, and Antoine Belgrave Shorter. None of those guys can lose their red shirts now by playing. So if they made their way onto a special team here or there, and it could give somebody a break, and they can do it competently, guys like that could be out there, sure.
Okay. Todd, did you happen to see that Troy game, the state title game?
I did, sir.
Oh, man, that was awesome. It's a once-in-a-30-year deal. That'll never happen. We'll never see it again.
I think they might have enough back to make a little run next year, but I think you're right. I mean, that was an amazing football team. Both those teams are really good. That might have been the best football game of the week.
Yeah. Troy's a true public school. I mean, that's the last of the true public schools for this year. I mean, this year played. So that was an awesome game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it greatly.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, guys. That's all I have for today.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. And you want to call in, whatever you want to ask, go ahead. This is a great day to ask me anything you want. I don't care. I mean, every once in a while we do the Ask Steve Anything. Oh, today's a good. Although we have Mike at 2:35, right?
Correct.
Right, Mike DeCourcy, late ad. But you want to call, ask anything you want? Go ahead, call and ask anything you want. I don't, personal, professional, whatever. It's always good. I usually get some really interesting, thought-provoking questions when we do this. But it's a good day to do it. We've got a couple of guests tomorrow. And by the way, tomorrow on the Coaches Show, 6:05 will be Mike Rhodes. So we'll talk Penn State basketball. 6:30, James Franklin will do the show tomorrow night. Okay? Just so you know. Now I know we're going to have Talk to Santa, blah, blah, blah. But for those who want to hear it online or something like that, you can do that. Okay? All right. But yeah, again, we'll kind of make this like Ask Me Anything. If I can't answer it, I'll say, geez, I can't answer that question. Although that's been pretty rare. It's been pretty rare. Usually people ask some really good questions. So, yeah. But, so we'll make this Ask Me Anything day. That way we can have fun with that.
I will interject the number here, 570-743-9565. 570-743-9565.
I'll even take questions about the suit. I mean, some of what I say about him will be true.
I think I heard him cringe from all the way across the building.
Oh, yeah, it'll be great. No, it'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I think The Athletic did a piece on where the coaches ranked as former players. 12. And James was 6th for his time as quarterback at East Stroudsburg. Number 6, not bad. Yeah. All right. So, hey, we'll have fun. Ask me anything. I'm cool. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. I'd love to hear from you as we continue on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Brewers Outlet.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory-trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, Saturday 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
The Shamokin Dam Orchestra, a bit late there. Yeah.
Well, you have the phone ringing off the hook.
Oh, I do. Well, then I'll take calls. It's fine.
Oh, man, I lost it.
It's okay, Todd. So I'll be cool. It's good.
Oh, I know. We have Ed from Schmokin on the line.
Hello, Ed. How are you today?
Hi, Steve. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Ed.
Hey, Steve, I don't know if you know this or not, and I just found out by accident a few days ago, but Vermont, you're from the northeast section of the country. Yep. Vermont has become the soccer capital of college sports.
Absolutely. They won the national championship in men's soccer. The soccer field is actually attached to the baseball field where the Vermont Lake Monsters play, and it's the former football field, but they dropped football in 1971. So Vermont is the men's soccer capital of the United States.
And plus, I'm trying to think of who won the Division III. But Middlebury made it to Vegas to the Final Four.
Wow. Boy, Vermont's rolling.
So the only reason I found that out was my son out in Vegas got a call that they needed a videographer.
Ah, very
so
nice.
He got an assignment from Middlebury.
That's great. Middlebury's always had great ice hockey, and to see them do this in soccer is really cool. I mean, suddenly out of nowhere, Vermont is an athletic power.
Yeah, and it's just kind of to me it just seemed strange a little bit that like a southern school didn't carry the day for the country. But
right.
Hey, if you're playing in the snow and elements, and hey, that probably toughens you up over time.
Hey, I mean, let's face it. It's Akimo, it's Killington, it's Stratton, it's Mount Snow. Come on. Great skiing country, and it turns out it's great soccer country.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that little tidbit in. I know we're going a lot of blue and white crazy, Riverhawk crazy, so it's a good time to be in Central PA this time of year.
Sure is, and it's going to be a great game for Susquehanna on Saturday when they take on North Central out in Naperville.
Yeah, I was there on Saturday once again through strange coincidences. My son actually, my younger son, was on schedule to graduate from UCF. I was down in Florida, and unfortunately he was sick as could be and could not walk. So I had things to tend to back home, flew back to Pennsylvania, made it down to Selinsgrove for the game Saturday, and saw an instant classic.
That's great. Well, I'm thrilled for you. That's great. I'm glad you were able to get there.
And, I really enjoyed your interview with Drew Robinson the other day. Just,
thank you.
Seeing some of the players that have come through over the last 6 or 7 years is kind of he's a testament to all those types.
Yeah.
Works hard in the classroom, on the field, and no matter if it's Division I after the team name or Division III, probably still work as hard.
Absolutely. He's a fifth-year player, going to be a CPA, so congratulations to him. Top of the hour, we've got to go, but thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it.
Steve, enjoy your week and weekend and have a great holiday season.
You have a great holiday. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
All right, top of the hour. More calls next half hour here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.